new to my channel, but Payo Time's channel has seen this before. He has coined over Rams action instead of Monday. It's over Rams action Friday. So if you guys have watched Rich Eisen's show, they do this thing called Overreaction Monday. Basically, one of his fellow coworkers makes a bunch of bold takes and he pitches them and says, is this an overreaction or is it like fair, basically? Yeah. So I'm going to be pitching it to both you guys in the chat as well as Payo Time here. We got 5 of them. We're going to start off kind of conservative here. Van Jefferson, as we all know, is on the Titans now, right. But Tutu Atwell is still on the Rams. Yeah. So will Van Jefferson, is it bold to say Van Jefferson is going to have more receiving yards than Tutu Atwell by the end of the year?
Ooh. You know what? I'm going to say that's a good one. That's a good start. I'm going to say that is an over Rams action, mainly because the Titans still have Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett. I think I had their depth chart up earlier. Yeah, so because he's kind of buried on their depth chart.
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing too with Tutu. He's not necessarily the 1, 2, or 3 for us. Like, could Whittington take that number 3 spot even though Tutu Atwell is getting paid? I feel like Tutu Atwell is one of those like guys that they'll use more depending on the matchup. Yeah. So that's where it's more interesting. It's like, I don't know. Which way do you go with it?
I think that Tutu is going to have a couple of games this year that gets him, to 7. I could see him getting 700 yards.
Yeah.
I don't think Van Jefferson gets there.
I think it's interesting too because I saw Tutu Atwell on, it was either a podcast or he's getting interviewed recently. Oh. And I think he got interviewed somewhere in training camp. And so the season hadn't started yet. And they talked about like, why did you come back? And like, why are you going to have a bigger year this year than any of your other years? And he said, I came back and I'm excited for this year because I can actually show what I can do when I'm giving more opportunities. And so he's kind of hinting at like maybe those conversations happened like behind closed doors, which I'm sure they did, of McVay talking about the different ways he can use him. But kind of like what Sheriff Joe Bags is saying in the chat here, I agree. I feel like Tutu could be more of a matchup independent player when it comes to like against the Texans. I don't think that's the right matchup because we can't be taking deep shots all day against a pass rush like that. And their cornerbacks are very physical. And so, but you could see a different kind of matchup where he pops off. So that's an interesting one to think about though, because they're both a little bit in similar situations.
Yeah, and the thing I love most about Tutu Atwell is he shook the one trick pony label that he had when he got drafted. There was like, oh, he's only a speed guy, right?
Yeah.
He has great hands, right? He's developed his route running. He's still the deep threat, like that's still kind of his thing, and that's cool. Nothing wrong with having a thing, but he is definitely developed into a solid NFL wide receiver.
Yeah, and I think he's almost at a disadvantage being on this Rams team, not just because you look at the talent that we have at wide receiver, but when you look at the kinds of receiver that McVay likes, like Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, those kinds of guys, and even like Jordan Whittington fits in that same category. They're guys that are very willing blockers. I'm not saying Tutu is not a willing blocker, but like these guys can do things like going through the A and the B gap and getting a block or getting a crackback block and doing things like that and being physical to where like Tutu Atwell, it might not be the smartest idea to have him going right up the middle or taking a shot over the middle or doing those kinds of things, no matter how willing he is. And so he's already kind of at a disadvantage when you have Whittington and Nacua, who is like, that's just based on their build and their desire. That's kind of comes naturally to them. But for Tutu, I'm interested to see how much his role could grow in this offense, because a lot of the prime Rams receivers that we've seen in McVay's offenses are the guys that do the like crazy dirty work and take those end arounds. And I just don't know if the Rams want him taking a bunch of hits.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, but that'll be interesting to track for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that was good. What's your next over Rams action?
Okay, so this one's more general. We say 2025 Rams defense is better than the 2021 Rams defense.
Oh man, Oh, you went there. Okay, let me talk this out. Okay. Obviously, we know who is on the 2025 with Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Puna Ford's there, Byron Young, Braden Fiss. Oh, yeah. Sheriff Joe said too early because, dude, first off, Aaron Donald alone was on the 2021 defense. Jalen Ramsey was there. It might not be an overreaction to say that the 2025 has more depth to it. Mm-hmm. I'm not comfortable saying, it's definitely too early to tell. I'm going to say that's an over Rams action. How about maybe more depth, but I think overall, I'm not ready to say that.
That's fair. How about what I was kind of thinking in making this one is taking the Rams' last 7 games of last season in combination with the game that we saw and kind of expectations. That's where it's interesting because the Rams had a bunch of games last year where they held their opponent under 10 points.
Yeah.
And so if you kind of take those in combination, but it's definitely early to tell, but I don't think it's an overreaction to say that they have a chance to be better.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, that's not over Rams action. And yeah, Rams mob here, he's sold. He's saying eye test tells me this defense is better. Oh, okay. All right.
See, I think you could definitely argue that in terms of top tier talent on the Rams defense in 2021, it was better than what we have right now. But across the board, when you go at every single position, and like you said, the depth at each position, it's the floor is insanely high. To where on that 2021 defense, you still have great players across the board, but it would kind of vary in terms of their floors and their ceilings that they had. But this is the Rams floor across the board and the ceilings that these players have, given that they're so young.
Yeah. On
the defensive side of the ball, I think is much higher as an average, as a collective.
Totally. Yeah. Well, you're 2 for 2. Good over Rams action.
All right. Number 3. So obviously last week the Rams scored 14 points versus the Texans.
Yeah.
Is it bold and an overreaction to say that is the fewest points the Rams will score all season?
Ooh, I like it. Okay.
We may need to pull up the schedule for this one just to see if there's any.
Let's see, Rams schedule. Yeah, that's okay. Can you repeat that one more time for our listeners?
Yeah. So the Rams scored 14 points last week versus the Texans. Will that be the fewest points that they score all season? Is that an overreaction?
Okay, so I think they score that much against the Titans. I think they're gonna need to score more than that against Philly. There's always the Niners factor where those games are weird.
Yeah.
And
they have Salah again.
Yeah. I'm gonna because I could see a low scoring game against the Niners. You know what though? There's not a ton of elite defense. When you're looking at it, the Eagles, the Texans, but and I guess the Ravens have a really good defense too. But the Rams don't play a ton of top 5 defenses.
Mm-hmm. I would say if I were to pick up the defenses that would be I guess scariest or that has the biggest potential of doing that, I think I'm still very high on the Seahawks defense, and that's divisional on top of it. So I could see there being a chance that it happens against them. And then San Francisco I could see, but it's hard to tell with their roster right now.
They're such a weird team.
Yeah, it's they have great coaching, which obviously covers up a lot of things, but Seahawks would worry me about doing that potentially. 49ers kind of. So for me, when I'm thinking about it, I don't think that it's an overreaction to say 14 points is the fewest that they'll score all year.
Yeah.
I think the Texans defense could be the best one that we play all year.
Okay. Yeah. And even when you think of those teams the Ravens or the Niners, right? I think I'd be more surprised than not if the Rams didn't score 14 points or more.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah.
I would say I guess if injuries hold off. because we're just gonna act like the Rams stay healthy all year with this
Yeah.
happen, but would it not?
Yeah, no, we turned injuries off in Madden, right?
Yeah. Why can't we just do that in real life? That'd be so fun.
Right? Rams Bob is saying score was 12-6 last time we played the Niners. I could see another game like that, to be honest. Yeah, you never. Honestly, it's just the way it is with the Niners. You never know, right? Because they've had high-scoring games, they've had low-scoring games, right? It could go either way.
And a lot of what made that one lower scoring was the weather, because it was like a downpour for a while.
Well, that's another thing here. Like, how many domes are we playing in?
That's a good point.
Yeah, because that Ravens game, that could be a rain game.
I think they're coming to SoFi, though.
No, it's in Baltimore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because they go...
Why haven't the Ravens come to SoFi? I feel like it's... Have they ever come to SoFi since the Rams moved there? I don't think they have.
I don't know. I do feel like we play in Baltimore a lot. Like,
we do. That's so weird. Huh.
Well, and I know... Because when the Rams... Or when the NFL added the 17th game... The way that it worked out is the Rams had to play the Ravens then, and like it's just the way it's worked out scheduling wise. But yeah, it does seem like we're always seeing the Rams go to Baltimore.
It'd be cool to see them in SoFi, honestly. Hopefully that happens sometime.
Well, because here I'm pretty sure they're doing like they're going to Baltimore and then they play the Jags over in London.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a good point. Yeah, I forgot about that.
But. Anyway, we'll definitely see. Okay, 3 for 3. Okay, I'm curious. You got 2 more, you say?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
This is more game specific for the game we're going to play on Sunday. Okay. Davante Adams and Puka Nacua will combine for over 200 receiving yards in this game.
I'm gonna say that's not an over Rams action. I think that game is coming. I think a lot of people wanted it to be against the Texans, but the Texans had a really good secondary. The Titans secondary is not on that level. I don't think that's an over Rams action. I totally could see a scenario where both. You know what? I'll go one step further. I think it's possible Davante Adams and Puka Nacua have over 100 yards receiving, and I think Kyron Williams can have over 100 yards on the ground as well.
Ooh. See, when you're talking about a game like that, we're probably winning by like double digits, right?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it in this game.
And if you think about it too, I don't even know if it's that bold of a take to say what I said with 200 receiving yards or more, because last week we almost had that. They were at like, if you combine them together, they were at like 181, 182 yards. That's like one more connection over the middle, like on a dig route or something that gets you there. So I am obviously kind of a biased Rams fan, so maybe that's what's influencing it. But if you look at last week, Adams wasn't like at the peak of like going off, and we still almost had 200 combined. So
yeah. Rams Showcase Sheriff Joe is saying Davante will have a game soon that blows our mind. No reason it can't be against this defense. Agreed, 100%.
Oh yeah. I'm just so thrilled that we have Davante on our team.
Right?
He's like, oh man, it's gonna be so fun to watch this season, especially with Stafford.
Totally. All right, you got one more? Got one more?
Yeah, we got one more. All right, this one I can't take all the credit for because JV Long did bring it up on Between the Horns, but I wanted to bring it to this audience. The first round pick that Atlanta gave us was not the best thing that they gave us this offseason.
I'm assuming you're alluding to Nate Landman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an over Rams action at all.
So you would say that getting him was better than getting the first round pick?
Yeah, I would right now because he helped win us the game.
Yeah.
And like
first round picks don't help you win games. Yeah.
Like I know we did the win-loss game for the Falcons schedule and we said 7 wins, but let's be honest, the Falcons likely are going to be a team that's between 7 and 10 wins, or somewhere in there. And so I don't think that, like, I know a lot of Ram fans are like, yeah, like the Falcons are going to suck and we're going to get the first overall pick and everything's going to come up Rams. We don't know that. We don't know who that player is that the Rams will draft with that pick. The Rams might even trade out of that pick for all we know.
Yeah. It even literally could be mid-season. You could get rid of the pick for a player.
Absolutely, yeah. So
But that's the crazy thing about it too. It's like first round picks and draft picks in general aren't guarantees. But we know what Nate Landman is, at least so far. So
and what's going to be really curious is, okay, so say Nate Landman keeps up this incredible season, right? Do the Rams finally give a second contract to a linebacker?
that's a good question. I think that he could be one of those guys, especially if there's nothing outside, like distractions wise, going on with him.
Yeah.
It seems like they really like him. This does seem to be that kind of player that they would extend, that they love. It's like the one that not everybody would have thought when they brought him in, of being a guy that would be a long-term, like actually linebacker contract to give out. But he's only 26. And so
wait, he's in the prime of his career.
Yeah. And he seems to love it here already, which who doesn't, honestly?